guest as well, who's also a former Berkeley County Commissioner. I guess they were a council when you were there for a while too, Elaine,
that
right?
was a short run.
Short run as council there too, also a former Berkeley County clerk. Good to see you again.
Good day, sir.
And when you are here, we always start off with the hat first. And this is a British military hat you are wearing today.
Well, and this week they're celebrating the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. And I always find it fascinating when those of us that are under Medicare, one of the questions always is, what year was World War II ended? And I always tell them it was May 7th, May 8th. The setting was on May 8th at Reims. I have the photographs. Do you want me to bring them in? And they all tell me to go away.
Well, how you been?
Fine, fine.
Yeah. I know your husband passed.
And so did my brother.
Unfortunately, your brother as well. Condolences on that.
Yes, it's been interesting.
Tough year.
Yes, it's been a tough year because you keep finishing up on stuff, and with my husband, I'm still working on that.
Yeah. Well, all the best to you, Elaine.
Thank you.
And I know you keep busy.
Oh, yes, sir.
You're never hurting for something to do.
No, if not, people will call me up and say, "Can you?"
And then that's always usually followed with yes, when.
Yes. What's the date, time?
Yeah, what's
Yes,
that
sir.
thing? And you've always been involved in Heritage Days here too, and we've got some more stuff coming up too, including a Patsy Cline tribute.
Yes.
And this starts fairly soon.
Yes, and on Saturday for nationwide, it's the National Train Day is actually Saturday, and of course we always have the Berkeley Hill Model Train Show on that second Saturday, and we have pony rides for the kids and barrel rides for the kids. We have the farmers market that day, and the By George Museum is open that day. So there's a lot of things going on over there at the Roundhouse.
Good to have the By George back up and running again.
Oh, it's wonderful because we're working in conjunction with a lot of things.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yes.
So there's a lot of stuff to do for Heritage Days. Take a moment, go through the schedule because there are different days and different activities that span May 10, 16 through 18.
Right. Well, May 16th, which is Friday, the Adam Stevens home will have their memorial placement of the wreath, and that'll be at 6:30. However, the farmers market is now doing a night market from 4 to 9, which is going to be a little different. We're going to have karaoke, square dance, cornhole, food tastings, food trucks. It's going to be just a nice evening down at the Roundhouse from 4 to 9. But also at 8 o'clock, both Friday night and Saturday, the 16th and 17th, our friend that does the Heritage Mystery Tours, he'll be doing them both nights. So look to our website, click on where you have to register because you must register for the event. It's $15 to do a ticket for these historical locations and ghosts and all that kind of good thing.
Now, that's the only part of your agenda that costs any money. Everything else is free. Is that correct?
The Bunker Hill Train Show, there's a fee, but I'm not in.
Okay.
I'm not involved in that. The rest of the stuff is just come on out.
Patsy Cline, I think, has a ticket price.
And the Patsy Cline is a fundraiser for the Roundhouse and the Apollo.
Okay.
So, but otherwise, it's a full family event that is not cost prohibitive so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now,
then,
excuse me, you mentioned the ghost tours. Here it says a mystery tour.
Yeah.
Are they're one and the same, I guess?
it's the one gentleman. He calls it Heritage and Mystery Tours.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you
may
know where
continue.
do you know where that goes? Where the tour is?
That's not my schedule because he sets that up himself, and they're different tracks. So I think Friday night and Saturday night will probably be different.
All right.
That's why I say I don't know. And he's been doing these tours with the Roundhouse involved, particularly during the month of Halloween and those kinds of things for years with us. Then Saturday, from 10 to 5, we have Kent Courtney, who's the Civil War musician, Civil War and railroad displays, local historians, photos for the local railroad, barrel rides, farmers market, food vendors, petting zoo, blacksmith demonstrations. The gentlemen with the blacksmith are hoping to have all the forges going to show people how they work and then to be making small items that they could sell.
Did you ever see a blacksmithing demonstration live? You ever seen one live?
Yes.
Demonstration of blacksmith actually
At
doing
work,
the
whatever you want to do.
Many times. I was raised in that generation. Yeah, there
Yeah.
was blacksmiths all the time.
Yeah, fascinating stuff.
Oh, it is, and it's amazing. It's like anything, they want so much and they hit it so many times and it's perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And
It's a great way to describe it, by the way.
That's the only way I can tell you, because
Yeah.
it's like, as a child, I used to go to the market for my family, and I'd tell the butcher, I say, I need a pound of ground beef. The guy would grab one, and I was always amazed. It was always a pound on the scale. And I said, it's similar with these type of people. The skills that they have is so finite. They're very detailed. It's really fun. And Saturday also is including the 10 to 2. We have By George, and the Sumner and Raymer will be open from 10 to 2. The family there is having that open, and the Adam Stevens house all day Saturday will be having food and flea market and tours, and I think they're supposed to have cave tours, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, you know, and I haven't taken the cave tour at the Adam Stevens house. Have you been there?
Yes.
And what's it like?
It's limited because people fail to realize the caves were done like in late 1780s, and then of course then the railroad came through in the 1840s. Well, that got crushed under because it's right under there. But see, the house on the other side on East, I'll get the direction right, the King Street, East King, is he comes up. There's another opening at the house on East King Street.
Have you done the cave tours, Matt?
I have not.
Yeah, I didn't even know about them.
Yeah, I need to go do it sometime, but I've never done it.
I have, and not taking anything away from Elaine, I think you're exactly right. They're limited. They're if you go in thinking about a large labyrinth of caves, it's not there. It's so it's of everything she has listed. To me, that was probably one of the least impressive parts of the list because they are so limited.
Yeah, and they keep trying to work with it, but again, you know, when you look at the hundreds of tons of dirt that's on top of the middle of it, you just can't. You can't get through.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to railroad days, now this is something we've been having or down the Heritage. In the old days of the Roundhouse, they had gandy dancers. Do you still have those scheduled at all? You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I don't think there's anybody that does it anymore.
Well, as recently as 10, 12 years or so ago when they had the Roundhouse.
Well, I understand that. And
Yeah.
I've been trying to locate them,
Yeah.
and we haven't been able to do that.
What was a Gandy dancer?
The Gandy dancers, the guys that laid the track, and they had a particular rhythm, and it was absolutely wonderful to watch them how they laid the track.
And singing as they go. Everything was in unison, so they would not really be working as a single unit as opposed to disjointed. So everything was put to music.
I've heard the term before, but I never knew what it was.
Yes, I've been trying to find a location, but I can't find anyone that's able to do it, because I think most of them had a little age on them, 10 or 12 years.
They did, Elaine, you're exactly right, but it was really the highlight of the old railroad days. The
Yes, it
Roundhouse.
was. And when you start talking about the railroad and get involved, you know, historically speaking, High Street was the Irish area, and then north of the underpass was the German area. And when they were laying the tracks and working any digging or anything, they could only bring one team at a time because they fought. So they'd bring the Irish group one day, and the next day they'd bring the Germans. But they just, you know, that was, or they had completely different sections that they were working on. They couldn't have them in the same area. So it was interesting. But that's the way that area is laid out. And all my family was one of those Germans that was north of the underpass.
Ready to fight.
Yeah. Well, you know, going back, and of course, when I do the tours and things, I talk about the different things down there. Going back, people fail to realize that the underpass used to be called 5 Points. That, like, from Race Street to Pennsylvania Avenue was just a mound. And then they had 5 points. They actually had a crossing at the top of that, because you had North and South Queen Street, you had Williamsport Avenue, and you had Pennsylvania Avenue, all converging there with the railroad track, because that was the 5th point. And they actually had a crossing guard that would be there to direct traffic. And
I didn't know it's called 5 Points.
that was called 5 Points. And at one time, the street over there that was Williamsport was also called 5 Points. And 5 Points gets bounced around in that area, but that was the location of 5 Points. And then in the late teens, early 20s is when they put the underpass in. And so, go ahead.
I say you also have a Patsy Cline show coming up, and this is quite the accomplished tribute artist here.
Yes, and that's on Sunday. And it's at 2 o'clock. It's general admission, $20. This young lady, Liz, is the singer for the Patsy Cline Museum in Winchester. And she has done quite a few tributes. She does them all the time in the area. And when she first started performing, she was on stage testing something out, and Patsy Cline's daughter came through and thought she was playing a record. She couldn't believe. She said, "I thought Mom was on stage."
That's amazing.
It was amazing. And then, Michael Knoll.
Yes.
Well, we were getting ready we did this last year, and she back in the back was testing out stuff. And Michael said, "I swore that was a record." She said, and she come from behind the curtain with her mic. So the girl is good, and it's a wonderful tribute, and she does a very nice job. And the money will be split between the Roundhouse and the Apollo Theater for maintenance type things, because you have so much maintenance with door repairs, window repairs, even minors. It's minor stuff, but it's miscellaneous that you absolutely have to have cash for.
And that is on May the 18th, by the way,
Right.
not this upcoming Sunday, Sunday, May the 18th.
At 2 o'clock.
Yeah, and those tickets are $20, $25, if I recall.
$20.
$20.
And it's online, or those of us that are in the senior department, if you call down there, you could get your tickets if you don't have a scanner or anything, because I told them, I said, it's got to be in the afternoon because a lot of seniors don't drive, and they're the ones that remember her well. And I said, number two, can they not call and get tickets, because that's not fair to them, because I'll be honest with you, as late as yesterday, somebody said, "Do you know what that black thing is?" I said, "All I know is you take a picture of it. I have no idea." She said, "Oh, no, you don't take a picture, you scan it." I said, "Okay, so what do you do? How do you scan it?" So I'm in that boat. Give me a phone and I can call and get my tickets. I've already got my ticket, by the way, and I did take care of that.
Well, put your phone on camera, and then just frame that
QR code.
thank you.
Yep.
And then it'll take you to where you need to go.
Oh, well.
Future lessons for
That's tough. Yeah.
take it like a picture.
Oh, yes. But some nice things and some very nice people, and some nice displays. We have a Harper's Ferry rifle that'll be on display, and all kinds of military stuff on display. But the reason I mentioned Harper's Ferry is that originally was in Berkeley County. The George Washington deed is signed in Berkeley County at the court, and it's in the courthouse.
Elaine, you've mentioned a couple of times the money would be split between this group and that group, but the Roundhouse would be a beneficiary. What's the biggest need for the Roundhouse just now, as far as that would require dollars?
Well, a lot of stuff. Like currently, right now, we're working on a grant that we have for $750,000. However, that's got to pay for the architect. To give you an example of how expensive, the windows in the bridge shop, there's 112 of them. That's $115,000.
Which one's the bridge shop?
The one on your left, the two-story, the two-story building, because they all have to be. It's after they had the major renovations to start with. It's been years, so you're back to where you have to scrape them, prime them, putty them, and properly paint them. So it's about $115,000. So that's just one example of expense. We're hoping in the very near future the elevator and steps will be open so that the bridge shop on the left, it has it's got a dance floor on the second floor. And we can have events and menus in there. You can have 300 people on that floor. And we've got the air conditioning and heat in there. But this next one is going to be the insulation and the concrete floor for the bottom and all this other things to finish it up, so we can actually commercially have some way of earning an income down there. Because right now, if it wasn't for people being generous and donations, the Berkeley County Commission helps pays the insurance, because it's very expensive, and so everything is on a line of things that have to be done. That's just that building.
But you have the bathrooms already in place now, do you?
The bathrooms are in place, yes, sir. That was a fight for many years.
Yeah, I knew that, yeah.
And we've got that, and we have, of course, down the road, we're looking at different things. The the burnt-out Roundhouse, we've discussed the fact it could be either an amphitheater or even a museum, Berkeley County Museum. That's been bounced around because right now they keep looking around for different places.
Yeah, that brings back a point. One of the big discussion items through the years has been, what's the best use of the Roundhouse?
Yes, sir. Well,
have you circled around some consensus of where it would be best utilized?
Well, I would think as a convention and conference center, because the Frog Shop, which is the building on the right, is 200 feet by 100 feet, 40 of which is blacksmith, so it's 16,000 square feet. You can seat, I think it's 6 people at a 5-foot table. You can seat about 500 people. There is nothing in the tri-state area that can seat for a dinner.
But without heating and air conditioning, can that be a legitimate destination for a convention?
Well, at this point, no. But as I said, we're talking about, he said the best, we're looking at the long-term use. But there's nothing in the area that has the floor space in order to do that. We right now got the heating and air in the bridge shop. That was the project we've been working on. So that will be in different phases that we're working through. Yes, sir.
But can you do heating and air conditioning in the Roundhouse itself?
No. You
can't. So it would have to be in the attached building, the Frog
right.
Shop.
The Mount Clair, that even did a restoration as late as 2003 when the roof fell in, they do not have any air or heat because people fail to realize that dome-type building, everything, the air goes up. It doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. You can't keep it down. So that's for the winter activities like November to probably March. You just can't do much there because of the temperature.
The other impediment is parking.
Yes.
And you've got to, for a convention center, a functional convention center, you've got to have some more accessible parking.
That's all in the talks about on and off property locations. We're talking about a possible bridge off the Martin Street side to go out so that you can come in and go out. And they laugh at me, but one of my things is on that southern field is to put a four-storage parking garage with a 4-story hotel, and you have a cultural district with the theater. That's what
It's a vision.
It's a vision. I mean,
right. That's what visions are for.
Well, at least I have one.
Yeah.
So many people don't. They don't think about what you can do, but that would be excellent because with that takes care of the parking. But here's what the big dream is. With that, the capital limit comes through there twice a day. If we could advertise in the Chicago area and we were having big events in Martinsburg and at the theater, they could come in early in the morning on Friday, leave late afternoon, Sunday evening, and be back in Chicago for breakfast.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You can access any part of the U.S. and much of Canada from Martinsburg railroad tracks.
Right. And then the other thing is during the day, we could sponsor day trips down on the other direction, down in D.C. and Baltimore area. So there's a lot of potential, but the key thing is Martinsburg itself doesn't have a hotel downtown. That's a real negative when it comes to when you're bringing groups in. And so I'm always in left field, and those of you that you know me, I'm always dreaming somewhere. But again, I have ideas, and the reason I have that idea because I'm very familiar with the railroad schedules.
Yeah, there are some in our comment section I haven't seen today, but in the past when we've discussed the Roundhouse, who say it will never be anything more than just a cash drain.
I don't think so.
Elaine, you disagree with that?
I disagree with that because we're working very diligently to get the things online to get business in there. I mean, we have business that's there. I mean, minimal business that's there. We had
weddings there a lot.
Well, we have weddings. We have proms. In fact, we had a prom last weekend.
Yeah. But this is your vision is going to require big bucks, much more so than you can get from the grants you get from nonprofits or the federal government. You need a
major investor,
a private sector major investor.
Correct.
Have you had any feelers of folks that have expressed even the initial interest in doing something like this?
A couple years ago, we did, and the gentleman had a heart attack and died.
That's unfortunate.
It was unfortunate. He had the wallet, and I was very hopeful. It was about 5 years ago, and we went to his place, and he talked about what could be done, and he was very interested, but it didn't.
Is there another example in the country that is obviously the Roundhouse is fairly unique, but is there another example around the country of something kind of in the same vein that has been pulled off successfully?
Oh, there's all kinds of projects all over the country that people that have gotten money from people like Buffett or somebody like that, that has big bucks to put their name on it. So it's potential. But the problem is right now, we have all this stuff going on. There's a limited amount of volunteers and trying to do the research to track down where there could be a big pocket.
Station Square in Pittsburgh, which was an old train station, basically. They don't have a roundhouse, so to speak, but there was a lot of train houses that
Right.
they've refurbished into restaurant shops.
Right.
I think there's a big hotel there. Used to be the Sheraton. I don't know what it is now. But that was an example of something that was refurbished into a commercial area pretty successfully several years ago. But it didn't. Nothing is spectacular at the Roundhouse, though. That's in a unique building.
Well, people fail to realize it's a double national landmark. It's the one for the Civil War and the 1877 strike, but the fact that construction has been recognized by the United States engineers and architects. So we're one, I think, of 250 for a national landmark in that area.
And I'd add one more thing, something you alluded to earlier. It's one of the rare places that's fully accessible through the Amtrak railroad network.
Correct. And actually Amtrak.
Elaine, hold that thought because we have to get to the commercial break. You can find out more about the activities for Heritage Fest at heritagefestwv.com. Final minute with Elaine Mauck next.